So there are a lot of options of graduate assistantships in the UK, and one of those places where you will find those options is what I want to discuss with us today. And that is a website called jobs.ac.uk. I believe you can see that website right now on your screen. If you can see my screen clearly, please drop a message in the chat box to confirm that you can see my screen, because it's important, and that's the reason I'm not doing this on Facebook, because when you share screens on Facebook, it gives you a very kind of not so good experience. But here on YouTube, I'm able to share my screen using OBS. So let's get started into the website. If you have joined us from any part of the world, please drop a message in the comment section. Let me know where you've joined us from. And we are continuing. It's important to me because this page has got a global audience from different parts of Africa, different parts of Asia, and across different parts of the world, including the United Kingdom. Now, the website I want to show us today, not even many people in the UK are aware of this website. And it's not because the website is hidden, it's just that many people are not paying the right attention. They're not looking at the right places, and they're not sourcing their information from the right place. I know this because I discuss with people who live in the United Kingdom, with students, and I hear the responses. I, hear how they look for scholarships, how they answer or respond to people who are asking them about scholarships, and all of that and all of that. But for us today, by the time you are done looking at this website, you will be empowered and you will know where to look. All of these were preambles. Now, let's get started. If you come to this website called jobs.ac.uk, you will see a number of things. Usually, the extension ac.uk is associated with academic institutions in United Kingdom. So when you see, for instance, somebody sending you an email with that ending, with that extension .ac.uk, you know that this person is sending you an email from a school, from a university. But if somebody has sent you an email from somewhere claiming to be a lecturer and claiming to be sending out an email using his professional website or her professional email or her professional email, and that email does not have this extension, just know that the person is not from the UK. So jobs.ac.uk basically means that all the jobs that are advertised here are academic jobs. But beyond jobs, the other thing that's very commonly advertised on this website is PhD scholarship opportunities. And of course, postdoctorate scholarships and all the rest of lecturing positions and all that will also find their way into this place. But when I mention PhD, a lot of people who are looking for master's degree scholarships will feel like, well, this is not for us and there is no point staying around. But the truth is, even if you've just finished your bachelor's, there is something called direct PhD within the United Kingdom. And direct PhD means that you can go straight from your bachelor's if you have a very sound bachelor's degree result. If your performance in your bachelor's is sound and great, you can go directly from your bachelor's degree to a PhD. And that's called direct PhD. And when we begin to dig into this website, you see some of these things that I am telling you. So whether or not you have a master's degree or you have just a bachelor's degree, this conversation is also for you. You want to stay along and you want to stick around until the end of the discussion. So when you come to this website, what do you find? If you are looking for jobs like a lecturing position, maybe lab technician, any of those things that are called academic jobs within the university, you just go to the section that is called, the section titled Find a Job, right? And when you click on that section that is called find a job, you will find the job options. I believe you can see my cursor. So you come to this side and it's called find jobs, right? You click on that find jobs. If you are viewing this on a mobile device, the platform might look slightly different, but you'll be able to navigate through it just following the instructions I'm giving now. So you click on find jobs and it will take you to all the jobs, academic jobs that are available. You will see them depending on the department you are interested in. But because jobs is not the baseline of our conversation today, let's go to PhDs. So you will see somewhere that's called find PhDs. You click on that find PhDs and then you begin to scroll down. You will see a search option where it tells you to search for PhDs, and then you will see also somewhere that it tells you to type in location. Of course, you know that the United Kingdom comprises of different countries, I would call them different countries. It comprises of England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, all of these places. But so you can type the location in terms of the country, and then you can also type the location in terms of the city. You can be looking for PhDs in London, or you can be looking for PhDs in Aberdeen, or PhDs in, let's say, Edinburgh, or PhDs in Glasgow, any place. You just come here and you type the location of the place. Again, you can search this by titles, but instead of going through all of these, what I generally prefer to do is to come down to this particular location where it gives me the titles of the PhD. That's the areas of the PhDs that based on the academic profile, so based on the subject area. So you will find that there are PhDs for agriculture, food, and vets, about 22 PhDs that are open at the moment. There are also 9 PhDs within the Faculty of Architecture, Building, and Planning. There is also 86 PhDs opened or open at the moment in biological sciences. And very often when I post scholarships on Academy of Scholarships and Transitions on Facebook, people are asking, but where is this particular department? You're always posting about engineering. Where are scholarships for biological sciences? Where are scholarships for law? Where are scholarships for math people? But when you come to this website, you see a whole lot of them advertised. Of course, as you will see very shortly, some of these will be restricted to people who are within the UK already, but a majority of them are open to international students who are still outside of the United Kingdom. So let's look at this. You see about, just a moment. So you see PhDs within the UK that are, how many now? So you see the ones for agriculture, you will find 22. The ones for biological sciences, you'll find 86. 86, that's a very huge number of scholarships available to biological sciences. If you move down, you'll find computer science, which is a very hot cake at the moment. You'll find how many PhDs can you see for computer sciences here? I can see 197 PhDs. This does not mean that people who did not study computer science cannot apply for some of these PhDs, because some of them are applied. That's what you will find very shortly. You move down to economics, you'll find 14. And then you move down to engineering. That's like maybe the father of them all, because engineering is broad. There are lots of scholarships, there are lots of challenging situations, there are lots of funding coming from companies, from government institutions to find solutions to the problems of mankind. And don't be offended when engineers say that we build the world, because the structures, the cars, the whatever it is, these are things that are going to draw funding from companies into universities. And because fundings are coming from these places, you find that the universities then will have money to fund projects in engineering. There are up to 383 scholarships at the moment open within the UK in the faculties of engineering or in the departments of engineering. So you really can't even say that there are no scholarships in your field. If you go to psychology, there are scholarships as well, 28. If you go to sports and leisure, there are 27. If you go to social sciences and social care, there are 22. If you go to language, literature, and culture, there are 10. And this is in real time. What I'm showing you today is, is as it is today, right now, as we speak. If you come back to this website tomorrow, you might have more opportunities. If you look at maths and stat, there are 99, just one short of 100. So when you have all of these, then you go into the search. If I am, which area should we use now? If you are live, just drop a message in the comment section. Let me know which of these subject areas you would prefer that we use for this study and for this analysis, for this teaching today. If you are online, just drop a message in the comment section. Tell me where you're joining from and tell me which of the faculties or the subject areas you would prefer that we use for the sake of this study. All right? Now, if nobody is dropping a message in the comment section, for the sake of time, I'll move on. If there is no message, I can't find any chat now, so I will just move on. Let's use biological sciences, for instance. My background is engineering, but for the sake of today, let's go biological sciences. Now, when you click on the biological science option, you find a lot of things here. Because I am open to all locations in the UK at this point, I am not restricting myself to any particular location in the United Kingdom. So I'm not typing in Scotland, I'm not typing in England, I'm not typing in Wales at this point. I'm going to discuss something further down the line about choosing or about which of these countries has the largest population of PhD opportunities or funded studentships that you should be focusing on. But for now, we're leaving that section of the search open. We're not touching location, but we come down and you see that biological sciences open up. So you can see 25 scholarships in biochemistry, 57 in biology, 6 scholarships in botany, genetics has got 6, microbiology has got 13, and I have like 3 friends who studied genetics at Akwa Ibom State University. If any of them is watching just right now, this is your time. Now, my molecular biology has got 28. Any of the scholarship options, if your own scholarship option is physics, you go back to that main location and you look for physics. Physics should be somewhere around in that place. This is physical sciences and all of that. If you are from engineering, come down to engineering. Education, you can come to education. Economics, you come to economics. So, but let's make progress on the biological science stuff. Now, I have entered biological sciences, and these are all the options I see in biological sciences. Please invite your friends to this event. It's very important because there is something for everybody, practically. Now, what I like to do when I come to this particular thing is I leave the location as open because anywhere in the UK is a good place to be in, generally speaking. But I come down to the funding type. Funding type. Now, when you look at the funding type, you'll find that some of the scholarships are just for EU students. You see that 40 of these scholarships are dedicated to people who are from within the EU. If you're not from the EU, you cannot apply for some of the scholarships that are listed here. Now, people from the UK qualify. That's when you see UK students, it doesn't mean foreign students in the UK. It means students who are of British citizenship, students who hold British citizenship. But if you look at this one, there is one scholarship that is self-funded. This is most likely going to be a partial scholarship or a scholarship that covers your tuition but does not cover your living expenses or something like that, or maybe a one-off scholarship that pays for your expenses in 1 year and then you take care of the remaining years. But this is the one you want to be focusing on. And every time you come to jobs.ac.uk, there are 4 things you should be looking at. One of them is it 4? Let's just count them. One of the things you should be looking at is, does this scholarship cover international students. That is to say, do international students qualify to apply for this scholarship? If international students do not qualify to apply and you do not hold British citizenship, please jump and pass. Keep moving. That scholarship is not for you. You don't want to waste your time applying for it. The other thing you should be focusing on is the scholarship you're applying for. How much in funding does this scholarship provide? And what does that funding cover? The scholarship can say that the scholarship is worth about £27,000, but £27,000 can just be the cost of tuition in some of the UK universities. So if the total cost or the total worth of the scholarship is £27,000, and you take that scholarship, you may have to provide for the cost of your living or to cover the cost of your living expenses. Again, you want to also know the structure of the scholarship. The structure is in terms of, there are scholarships in the UK, and you will see some examples of them that cover your tuition at home student rates. That's British student rates. Because in the UK, the amount of money you pay as an international student is different from the amount of money British citizens pay in their schools. So if the scholarship says it covers home student rate, it means that the balance of your tuition will have to come from your pocket. Then there are some other scholarships that will say, well, we'll give you a discounted amount at home student rate. So if the home students are paying like £4,500 or £6,000, that amount will be discounted from the amount of money you should pay as an international student. But the scholarship will also say, in addition to this discount, we will give you a monthly stipend of about £1,500. So in that case, what you are focusing on is to cover the costs of your remaining tuition, because your living expenses will be covered by the school in addition to the discount they are giving you. So these are some of the things you need to really pay attention to when you start looking at jobs.ac.uk. Again, there is also a deadline attached to every of the scholarship you see here. For instance, if you look at all this list we have in the biological sciences, you begin to see closes on 31st of July for the first one, closes 31st of July for the second one. This one says expires on 22nd of July. This one says 21st of July. This one says 31st of August. The other one says 31st of August. This one is 14th July. And this one is 25th of June. So the scholarship right here, if you can see what I'm highlighting, this particular scholarship closes today. And if you do not apply today, you will miss out on the scholarship. So you want to pay attention to the deadlines of the scholarships, the structure of the scholarship, the amount of money involved in the scholarship. You also want to pay very good attention to whether or not international students qualify to apply for that particular scholarship. If they do, then you are really qualified. So back to biological sciences after all of these additional conversations. Now, the ones that international students qualify to apply for are 34. I don't know if anybody is watching us from within the EU or any citizen of the EU is watching us today, but if you are watching us from the EU, drop me a message in the comment section. And if you are watching us from any part of the world, please drop a message in that chat box. Tell me where you are watching this event from. Are you in the UK with me, or are you watching or joining us from Africa, somewhere in Malawi, somewhere in Namibia, somewhere in Botswana, in Nigeria, in Ghana? Just let me know in the comment section where you are joining from, or the chat box as YouTube Live would prefer to call it. So we go back to international students, and remember, this is restricted to biology or biological sciences. And what I've done is I have come down to funding type and streamlined the scholarship options to only the ones that international students qualify to apply for. Now, in this, I can see that the first one, international students qualify to apply. This is in University of Southampton. The second one, University of Nottingham. The other one is University of West of Scotland. The other one is Oxfordshire. The other one is in Bristol. This one is again in Southampton. this one in Southampton, this one in Nottingham, the other one in London, this other one in London. No, I don't know. Okay. This other one is in Surrey, and it goes on and on and on. Now, what do you notice here? This is also in Belfast. What you notice in this list of places where these scholarships are advertised, this is Loughborough. And what you see is that a majority of the scholarships within the UK are in England. You know, they are just mostly in England. You see, this is Manchester. This is Manchester here. You go down to this one, is Manchester again. You go down to this one, this is Manchester. This is Manchester. This is Bradford. In all of these, there is only one scholarship that we have seen that's within Scotland. This is purely for graduate assistantship scholarships, or what is called studentships in the UK. So most of the scholarship options you will see under this kind of arrangement and on this website will come from England. In fact, almost every time that I've had to look at this, most of the scholarships will always be coming from England. And this is not the end of it. This page alone has like four. This is just one out of four. So you can click next and then it takes you to the next page. But I want to point out some things to us here. So when you come to this first scholarship, this is PhD studentship, rapid diagnostic of antimicrobial resistance, whatever that means. But biological science people, I believe you will understand it. And then it says that this is advertised within the Faculty of Engineering and Physical Sciences. What does this show you? Is the fact that many scholarships abroad or at PhD level in general are going to be interdisciplinary scholarships. Ideally, having a scholarship in biological sciences a scholarship in biological sciences should reside within the Faculty of Biological Sciences, correct? But in this case, we see a biological science related scholarship residing within the Faculty of Engineering. And this is something you should carry with you whenever you are looking for research based scholarships, whether it's research based master's degree scholarships or research based PhD scholarships. Every PhD is a research based study, anyways. But what you will find is that sometimes the background you are coming from is not the faculty that is hosting the scholarship that you qualify for. And sometimes the background you are coming from, and so in that kind of situation, your background becomes a negotiating advantage to you into that new department. If you're coming from microbiology, for instance, and this scholarship is hosted within the Faculty of Engineering, if you go to the website of the school and you are looking at just the Faculty of Biological Sciences, you may not be able to find a scholarship because the host department is Engineering and Physical Sciences, right? Again, if you are looking at, and that's why websites like this, jobs.ac.uk, are good. And this is not an advert of jobs.ac.uk. I'm just telling you what is real and what really happens, because they collate all these scholarships into one place. So that if you are looking at University of Manchester, for instance, you go to the website of University of Manchester and you are looking at your own faculty, you may miss out on scholarships where your knowledge can be applied within that school, because you are looking at the scholarships that are open to your own department or to the departments where your background is. Again, that would depend on the structure of the website, the way the website has been structured. Some websites will structure the scholarships and tie them to the individual faculties. Some other websites will structure the scholarships as a group. That's regardless of the department, they just group everything that's called scholarship and put them together. But if you come to a website like jobs.ac.uk, you'll find all the list of scholarships detailed here. Now, let's go into more details of this particular one, and you can replicate what I'm saying across board. Any other scholarship you find on this website, the information I'm providing now will be relevant. Like I mentioned, the first thing I look out for is, do international students qualify to apply for this particular scholarship? If they do, then I am in the right zone. So what happened? I just refreshed this and Okay, looks like that particular scholarship has moved down in the order of things. But regardless, so let's just use this one. PhD, development of new low cost water quality sensing technology and all of that. We go there and we begin to look into the details. So this is the title of the research. Qualification you will get is a PhD. This is Bristol. This is UK students. That's the funding for UK students, for EU students, and international students. Any scholarship you're looking at any given point in time, if it does not say that international students qualify to apply in the United Kingdom, then international students do not qualify to apply. By international, in this case, they mean students from outside the UK and from outside of the European Union. The other thing is the funding. How much does this cover? So it says fully funded plus tax-free stipend, which is currently at £18,622 per annum for 2023/2024. So what this is saying is that once you hear fully funded, you know that the scholarship covers the full cost of your tuition. If the scholarship covers the full cost of your tuition, then the added stipend is to cover your living expenses. So in this particular scholarship, you will not be paying fees and you will have this amount of money to take care of your living expenses. Then your commitment, this must have to be a full-time study. If you're not committed to full-time study, then this scholarship is not for you. If you want to do a part-time PhD, then you can move on. You do not qualify to apply. The advert was placed on the 24th of June. That's just yesterday. You can see that this is an updated website. What you find here is not old. What you find here is not like some outdated scholarship opportunities. What you find here are open and in real time. Then it closes on the 21st of July 2024. And you move down. So you can see when it was open, you can see the deadline, and then you see how much of time you have to package your application and to submit your application. If you go down to this place, you will find the supervisor, the person who is in charge of the scholarship. That is Professor Darren Reynolds and Dr. Robin Thorne. These two people, what ideally you should do is when you find the name of the supervisor, and you will see it across all the scholarships. Some people, when they see scholarships like this, they jump to click apply. I don't recommend that. When you come to this place, go and look for these two professors on LinkedIn. One or two of them will likely be there. If I take Reynolds, for instance, Darren Reynolds, and I go to LinkedIn, this page will, what you are seeing now will migrate a little bit to LinkedIn. I just want to demonstrate something to you. If I take this guy's name and I go to LinkedIn, I come into the search bar of LinkedIn and I post the man's name. You can see a lot of Darren Raymonds. I want to find the ones that are relevant to me. You see this person, he is Darren Reynolds. In fact, that's the very first person that comes up on the website, on LinkedIn. He's a professor of health and environment at UWE Bristol. And if you come back to this particular scholarship, you'll find the name of the university as UWE in Bristol. So you found the professor who is supervising this particular PhD. Once you find him, what do? You click on connect with him, and then you click on add a note. That's if you are on a laptop. If you are not on a laptop, open his profile, click on the three dots somewhere around message, and then send him a personalized invite. When you come to this place, then you write a brief story. Tell him about the research and about your interest in joining that research, and then ask him to connect. If the reason you are doing this is that I'm not sending him a connection request just now because I'm not really interested in the particular scholarship. But the reason you are doing that is because you want to be able to have multiple lines of impact on him, multiple lines of touch to the person, multiple lines of conversation to the person with the person who is in charge of the scholarship you are applying for. So you have identified him, you've gone to LinkedIn, you want to check out his profile. Sometimes some of those people, they just have a LinkedIn account that they are not using. But if you go through this man's profile, you will find that just 1 month ago he posted something. So he's relatively active on LinkedIn. You can send him a message or send him that personalized connection request, and you will see other posts that he will be making. But you have multiple lines of communication with him. You can also look for Robin Thorne. If you look for Robin, you should be able to find him, I guess, or I suppose. We search for Robin and we see different Robin Thorne. This is Robin, this is Robin. Again, we can come down to this place and use company, streamline the search by, okay, strange enough, it doesn't look like Robin is in this on this particular platform. We'll see. Okay, Robin, wherever. But what you can do is you come to this place and you look for filters. You can look for companies and you look for his, what's this? You look for, okay, you go to all filters if that's not showing up. And then we go to, we're trying to just find Robin and to check if he is on LinkedIn. Let me go back. Okay, yeah, so this was an error. You go to people first, and then by the time you go through people, you will find different people who answer the name Robin, and you go to the current company of the person. You write UWE Bristol. Is that coming up? That's not okay. Bristol. Let's just do that. UWE Bristol. There are different schools just now here. So, what faculty is that? Let's see. The people are in health, I believe. If they are in health, then we just use health and search for him. So, Bristol, let's see. UWE Bristol, this is Pacific Asia. Okay, let's use this one, West of England. It doesn't show up. So if this man is actually on LinkedIn, we'll be able to find him using the name of his school, University of West of England. But we can't find him. However, we were able to find the first person and we connect with him. And this first person, the professor, is likely the main supervisor of this scholarship. So he has the greater impact on the decision-making process and all of what is related to it. So I go down and I look at additional information. The duration of the program is 3.5 years. There are some scholarships you will find in the UK and they may just be providing you funding for 3 years. Those are, well, they wouldn't be my first option when I'm looking for a scholarship because typically PhDs in the UK will take from 3.5 years, sometimes up to 4 years, depending on the scope of the project and depending on the availability of materials and availability of resources, including the equipment for your experiments and all of that. So I will ideally want to stay with scholarships that are from 3.5 years and upwards. Where I can't find them, then I could consider the 3 years, just knowing that at the end of the 3 years, your funding, your stipend will be terminated, and then you have to fund your own living expenses. Then, the other thing is funding information. The funding will be provided by Bristol and will cover your PhD. This is going to cover your PhD fees, research equipment, consumables, and the tax-free stipend. All of these are covered. You need to get these details of funding very correctly. Once you have all of that, the other thing you want to look at is the details of the scholarship opportunity you are planning to apply for. And this is very critical. Remember, we're not just showing where the opportunities are. The things we're highlighting today are some of the key components of what will help you to win the scholarship eventually. If you come to this, you have to read through these two sections very carefully. The about section of the scholarship or the studentship. Remember again, most of the graduate assistantships in the UK are called studentships. When you look at the details, that is how you know what is required in your CV and how to write your statement of purpose, what kind of document you should be submitting for your application. All right. If you don't know the details of the scholarship and you go on submitting random CVs, you will also be getting random rejection letters or random rejection emails, right? Because if you just keep dumping applications everywhere, you will not likely be addressing the required skills. You will not be addressing the required concerns of the scholarship or the required scope that the scholarship is interested in. That's not what you want to do. What you rather want to do is to address every single thing that the scholarship wants you to address. All right. Address every single thing that the scholarship wants you to address. By the time you've addressed all of those, you will then be in a better position to win that scholarship that you are applying for. And how does that help you? When you know the details of the scholarship, you will know the focus they are looking for, and you will know the kind of things to add on your CV, and you know the kind of things to remove on your CV. You know the kind of things to give priority on your CV, and the kind of things to not give much of priority on your CV. And so please read the details of each of those scholarship very, very well. Read the details of each of those scholarship very, very well. If you don't, you will be missing out on a whole lot of things. Please don't miss out. Read the details very well. Read the details very, very well. Then there is person specification. The scholarship also goes on to tell you that this person has to have knowledge of aquatic ecology, water quality sampling and analysis. It goes on to say that the person should have knowledge of microbiological testing is also desirable. Some experience of microbiological technique, including bacterial culturing, would be an advantage. So the ones that are an advantage are not compulsory to have. If you hear that something is an advantage, it just means that those who have it, they have an advantage, but that doesn't mean that the people who do not have it cannot win that particular scholarship as well. So you have what it takes now. You go down to the skills. What are the skills and the competencies that are required? You should have a good practical background, including relevant laboratory and field skills. If somebody goes on to apply for this scholarship without going through these details, the person may not highlight his or her laboratory and field skills in his on his CV or her CV. But because you have read through this, you are preparing a better application. And when you want to write your cover letter or your SOP, as the case may be, you know what you are writing, you know what you're highlighting. You should be able to work and communicate efficiently with other researchers, including supervisors, student technicians, postdoctoral researchers who may have very different backgrounds to yourself. What is this trying to tell you? This is trying to say that you should be able to have a people relationship and people management skill. You should also be able to network with people. You should be able to communicate. Communication skill is very important. And like every PhD, you will have to communicate a lot because you will go to conferences, you will go to make presentations, and all of those kind of things. So how to apply? Please submit your application online, and you have this application here. It goes on to say that interviews will take place in the week commencing 12th of August. So it doesn't end in you just applying. There's going to be an interview process, as most of the PhDs in the UK would do. In fact, even when you're applying for a direct PhD, a self-funded PhD, in most cases, you will still be required to go through an interview process with your supervisors. If you wish to discuss this opportunity in more detail, please contact Professor Darren Reynolds there is a phone number of Professor Darren Reynolds, and then there is an email address of Professor Darren Reynolds. Ideally, most people who discuss scholarships will tell you to do a cold email to Darren Reynolds, which is good. And I also encourage you to do a cold email to Darren Reynolds. But in addition to your cold email, please do what we had discussed before. Go find Darren Reynolds on LinkedIn, connect with Darren Reynolds, and do this with all the other supervisors that will be, within the faculty that you are applying for, or the people in charge of the scholarships that you will be applying for. If you are successful in that interview, you will be if you are shortlisted from the application stage, you will go further to do an interview. And interview skills is something every one of us should develop. If you don't have good interview skills, you may not be able to win many PhD scholarships. You'll be missing out on a lot of things. Now, if we switched a little bit to some other kind of scholarship, I wanted to let us see something where it talks about. So let's look at this one in Cranfield and see. This is University of Cranfield. Again, what I do is I check the details. You see, this one in University of Cranfield, for instance, the one we looked at before in Bristol, had a stipend worth about 18,600 and something pounds. In this case, it says that the funding is 24,000 per year with fees paid. So your stipend for this particular school in Cranfield will be 24,000 pounds. This is a lot of money. A lot of money. 24,000 pounds for a scholarship. 24,000 pounds at the moment should be, you are talking about close to 50 million naira. And this is just your living expense. That's if you are from Nigeria. You're looking at over 40 million naira in scholarship funding. So you know how much that is, and you know why you should put so much of attention and so much of energy into it. And in addition to that, your fees will be covered, and this is also a full-time kind of scholarship. The application closing date, again, identify it, because when you know the deadline, you now can plan effectively on submitting your application. The closing date is this. The start date for the scholarship is September. So if you are coming and you're applying for this, you should be getting ready to resume in September of this year. It talks about the studentship funding and gives you the details of the people who are providing the thing. It says sponsored by EPSRC, the Water Research Center, and 4 UK water utilities. This studentship will provide a bursary of this per year with fees. All training and placement to overseas stroke industries cost will also be covered. This is an amazing scholarship. You hardly find this kind of scholarship anywhere. Even PTDF scholarship is not as good as this. So those people, biological science students who are saying that, well, PTDF doesn't cover us or this one doesn't cover us, there are scholarships that are better paying than the PTDF, and you qualify for these scholarships. 24,000 pounds is more than what the PTDF will pay you as a scholarship student. And this includes this also covers the cost of placements. That's if you need to travel abroad to conduct certain aspects of your research, this funding will cover it. They will give you additional funding to cover it. And look at this, the duration of award, if full-time preferred, is 4 years. The other one we looked at was 3.5 years. This one is going to give you 24,000 pounds for 4 years. Imagine that 24,000 pounds is, let's say, 40 million naira. So this scholarship is trying to say that it will pay you 40 million naira for a period of 4 years. That is 160 million. So overnight, you just become a millionaire by being good with your studies. And this is why everybody who is young that comes close to me, I will tell you to take your studies seriously, especially if your background is not the billionaire or the millionaire background. You can break into riches very quickly. In fact, what people are struggling to get and doing all manner of things to get, you can, just by studying, break into that level of riches. You can become a millionaire in a period of 1 year. You don't have to do so much. All you have to do, and this will be a reward for your labor in school. This is just it. 24,000 pounds for 4 years. Again, what do you want to do? Go and look for this particular doctor here. The first supervisor, Tao Liu. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that name correctly, but go to LinkedIn, find that man, and connect with him. Why do you even need to connect with him, apart from the opportunities that you have at the moment? And that's him here. He's just up. All right? And you do what we said before, add a note, and then write a personalized note. Talk to him about the scholarship you found and tell him about your interest. Bring something about your qualification into that conversation. Send out that connection request. Now, there will also be somewhere where you have his email. This is his email here. This is his phone number here. You can contact him on multiple fronts. When something, if I am the person applying for this scholarship, I will go extra mile because the money is huge and the duration is good enough. The packaging is complete. This is what I call total package because it covers everything. Every single thing you want to think of. It's going to cover, well, it doesn't say that it's going to cover the cost of your coming to the UK, but even if you pay your transportation cost to the UK, you will recover it within the first 1 year. £24,000 is not a small money. It's not for stipend, for a student. It may not be such a big money if you begin to compare it to what some other people are earning, but not on scholarship. For scholarship purposes, this amount of money for 4 years is a whole lot. Please give this your best. In fact, I will go ahead to post this particular scholarship on Facebook just right now because this is a very good scholarship opportunity. Very good. Very, very, very good. Very, very good. Very, very good scholarship. And everybody should be able to go in there and apply for it. So I would say we just discovered one for biological sciences with £24,000 per year for 4 years. All right. So that's it. You have this kind of opportunity and you want to give it your best. You want to give it your best. Please give this your best. Do the best you can to win this kind of scholarships. And you get to see these things by making comparisons. And remember that all of these scholarships you are seeing today are within the United Kingdom. Within the United Kingdom. If you go to the United States of America, for instance, you will see other options and you will find other opportunities. So it goes on to talk about the entry requirements, and this is the very interesting one that I wanted to talk about. So the scholarship says applicants should have a minimum equivalent to a UK upper second class degree, that's a 2-1, and preferably a master's in a relevant subject such as environmental engineering, environmental chemistry, environmental sciences, or chemical engineering. It's essential that the candidate has experience and an understanding of chemistry and biological wastewater, right? So you see that this particular scholarship was found under the biological sciences, right? Because you see micropollutants. But then people who have engineering backgrounds also qualify to apply for this scholarship. They qualify to apply. And that is why I mentioned earlier that you must have to check through those criteria. Who is this scholarship looking for? In this particular case, it is looking for people even from your kind of background. If you are a chemical engineer and all of that, you qualify to apply for the scholarship. It says preferably a second class upper and preferably a master's degree. But you will see some, and I'm not going to start digging into all of that, but you will find some of these scholarships that somebody who has a bachelor's degree will qualify to apply for. All you just need to do is remember to dig deep and dig through these scholarships, have a detailed look at what the scholarship contains, and try to see whether or not you qualify. The other thing I want to highlight to us is if you are applying for scholarships to come to the UK, the moment you are checking the funding, the amount of money in funding, you should also be paying attention to the cost of living in that city. The cost of living in the city. The reason you look at the cost of living in the city is because a scholarship might be good and able to take care of you in one city of the UK, but not so very good in one other city of the UK. For instance, you can see something here where it is £19,237 in west of Scotland, this amount of money will mean more in Aberdeen than it's going to mean in London. And this is not to say that if London says they're going to pay you £19,000, then you should run away from taking up the scholarship, because in addition to the payment of the scholarship, you should still be able to get some kind of money from your part-time jobs and all of that. So you will be fine, basically. But you have to pay attention to the city you are applying to study in. Try to see what does that city hold and what does the city not hold. If the city is not the one you want to be in, well, you can always move on. If you are very interested in a particular city, you can type the name of the city here. If you say, for instance, Manchester, in this particular place, it will take you to only the university, only the scholarships within these other search options in Manchester, and you can begin to see them and all of that. Clinical prediction models, developing whatever, and a whole lot of all these things you will be seeing. And that is what I wanted to discuss with us today. I believe you found this useful. And if you found it useful, as always, drop a message in the comment section and let me know that you enjoyed it. If you didn't find it useful, also let me know in the comment section that this was a complete waste of your time. But if you found it useful, do good and drop a message in the comments section. And we can go into more details, but the key things you must identify, or you may have heard me say today, is that on jobs.ac.uk there are so many scholarships. You can't even apply for all the scholarships in your area for most of the fields. In addition to that, pay attention to the structure of the funding, who is eligible for the scholarship, the amount of money the funding is provided, and the deadline for the scholarship application. If you pay attention to these things, you'll be able to find the scholarships that are within your field. The other thing you must pay attention to is that scholarships at PhD levels are, for most research-oriented programs, are interdisciplinary. So you must not have studied water quality to be able to qualify to apply for a scholarship in water quality. The one we just looked at right now has water quality, is a water quality study, but people from chemical engineering and all the other aspects of studies that we've seen, environmental engineering and all that, qualify to apply for them. So if your application, if you see the title of a scholarship, do not run away. Read through the details of the scholarship. Look at the money. If the money, does the money provide funding for your living expenses? Does it give you a stipend, or does it just cover the cost of tuition for that particular institution? Once you're able to figure out all of these things, then read through, pay close attention to the details of what the scholarship is aiming to achieve. Is the scholarship trying to study water? Is the scholarship trying to study soil? Is the scholarship is it looking for people who have modeling skills? Is it looking for people who have laboratory skills? Is it looking for people who have field experience, right? By the time you get all these details, then you are in a good position to structure your CV, to structure your SOP, to structure your cover letter, to make the right impact on the mind of the person who will be assessing your application. Additionally, every of the scholarship, or most of the scholarship, will not end at just applying. Once you apply, you will be rated against other applicants. If you are in good standing, you will usually be invited for an interview. That's usually the way it works in the UK. You go for an interview. In that interview, your supervisor and co-supervisor will be present in most cases, and probably somebody, the research coordinator for that particular school, could also be present in the scholarship interview process. And once you go through that interview successfully, you would have turned your fortune from a salary of maybe 150,000 naira if you're in Nigeria to a pay of about £2,000 per month. And in addition to your £2,000 per month, you will also be getting a PhD in that process. And this was Academy of Scholarships and Transitions. The best thing you can do for your friend is to share this page with him in terms of finding scholarships and in terms of learning how to win scholarships. All of the things we discussed today are relevant to you, relevant to any other person who is looking for scholarships. Thanks so much for joining us today, and let me know where you joined us from. Oh, somebody said Idris joined us all the way from Nigeria. Thank you so much, Idris, for joining us. If anybody is still online and has questions, this is your time to drop your questions in the comments, in the chat box. I will hang on a bit, and if nobody has any questions, I will be signing out. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section in the chat box right now. Let us discuss them. And if you have not subscribed to this YouTube channel, well, I don't know what you're waiting for, but this is your time. Subscribe and let's stay connected. Any questions? Bring the questions on and we will answer them. Questions, questions, questions. Anyone? All right, I can't see any questions just now. And in the absence of questions, I will be calling this a day. Thank you all for joining and see you again soon. Academy of Scholarships and Transitions, and signing off from here. Bye-bye.